In this episode of the Macworld Podcast, we review the new Apple Watch Series 10 and the AirPods 4. Are these new devices worth your money? We talk about what we like, dislike, and more. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Macworld Podcast. I'm Roman Loyola here with Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And Michael Simon.
Hello, sir.
The AirPods 4 is now available, and we're going to talk about Apple's latest earphones. But first, Jason did an in-depth review of the new Apple Watch Series 10, and his review is available on macworld.com. There it is. He's pimping it right now. So we're going to chat about the new watch. Let's just dive into it. So, Jason, as a Apple Watch Series 4 wearer, quote-unquote wearer, it's more of like an owner, because I don't really wear
You've
it.
been threatening to get an Apple Watch for numerous years, Roman.
Yes.
Look, if you're on a Series 4, it's time. It is.
It's been a time for probably since the 8. But hey, listen, there's a lot of people that don't wear watches. They think it's cool. They look at it on the website. They're intrigued by it, and then they buy one, and they it's big. It's big. It requires effort, we'll say. And Jason will get into that in his review. But you can't just strap it on and forget about it. It requires a little bit of effort to wear it. And I get that. The Apple makes it look really cool, and it is, but it's not for everybody.
It is a change to your lifestyle where it's easy enough to get your wrist used to wearing a watch, but to charge it every day is also just like a habit change that, they say do something 20 times in a row and becomes a habit or whatever. And maybe that's true, but just like getting to that point where this is what I do every day. I charge it at the same time every day and I just wear it all the time and get my notifications under control so my wrist isn't being tapped every 5 minutes when my phone's notification goes. That takes some getting used to.
My biggest thing is the charging. Like it'll go down to 10% or whatever, and I'll put it on the charger, and then I'll literally forget about it for like a day and a half, and I'll have to go put it on. Like that's the biggest hurdle that I haven't quite gotten, and I love it when I remember to wear it. But there are days when I forget, and then halfway through the day, I'm like, oh, I didn't put on my watch today.
Right. So I've started using the sleep tracking more, in part because I want to test out the sleep apnea, breathing disturbances notifications. Not that I'll get one if I don't have that. So I don't know, but I just want to see. And you have to gather a month of data before you can do that. So I'm wearing it at night. So the Series 10 overall, I will say, is a handful of small improvements they're definitely improvements, but they're small. And if you've got a Series 8 or a Series 9, you're not going to be like, oh my God, this changes everything. I'm so glad I ran out and spent $400. Like, it's not. And if you're running an older watch, then it's the analogy I used is it's like compounding interest. Like every year, Apple adds one little feature and changes one little thing. And that's not enough. It's not a big deal. But then the next year, it's a little bit more on top of that. The next year, it's a little bit more on top of that. And if you have a 4-year-old watch, you're going to see a big difference between the new one you get and the old one. Unfortunately, battery life has not changed at all, but charging is noticeably faster. They mentioned about how it's faster because they improved the charging coils and stuff. All the Apple Watches from the 7 or so had what they called fast charging, and it was 50% in 45 minutes. This one's 50% in 30 minutes. All I know is I can wear it all day and all night. I take it off and put it on the charge stand when I go take a shower. By the time I'm done showered and dressed and stuff like that, it's almost done charging. I don't have to remember to go back hours later and grab it. Obviously, your phone will also alert you. You'll get a notification if you're paying attention that your watch is charged. That is the main thing. Has always been. It's a day of battery life. It's not multi-day battery life. It still is not multi-day battery life. But charging faster does make a difference in making it more convenient to just find a way to build it into your daily habit. To like, this is when I fully charge it, and then I put it back on and I wear it the whole rest of the time. So that's better. It's a little bit better.
So back when Fitbit was still a company, like their smartwatches, which, were okay, they used to last like 4 to 5 days. And that's just not possible with what the Apple Watch does. I mean, if Fitbit watches were fine, they had the health stuff, but they didn't do all of the notifications and all the things that the iPhone does. Unless there's a big breakthrough over the next, 5 years or something, this is what we're probably stuck with: 18 to 24 hours of battery life. And unless you get to like the Ultra with 36, like you're gonna have to charge it every day. It's just a fact of life.
And that Ultra, I think that's in battery saving mode. I think it's 2 days or something, but still,
whatever it is. But it's more, but it's also
36
significantly
hours
larger. Yeah.
It is. It's big. It's a big honking thing. It part of it is that it does things like periodically takes your heart rate and stuff. It's that data over the course of your day without you having to go in and say, measure my heart rate right now and stuff. That's part of what Apple is doing well, is it's providing insights into your trends over time by constantly looking at your activity, constantly checking your heart rate, just in the background periodically throughout the day without you starting a workout or any of those kind of things. And that's battery draining.
Sure.
They have that super battery saver mode, which gives you a ton of battery life and turns all that good stuff off. So Roman, I mean, you're with an Apple Watch Series 4, you're going to see, first of all, a lot more new capabilities, right? Just because they've improved everything from the accelerometers to the sensors and all this other kind of stuff, and a better display and all this other stuff, but also way better charging. Because everything before the 7 or the 6, I forget, charged really slow.
The 7 was fast charging, for faster charging.
Faster charging, and now it's even faster and stuff. So,
but Roman, do you wear your Series 4, or do you just have a Series 4?
No,
you don't wear it.
I don't. I wear it if like I'm going to go on a hike or a long walk, or I know I'm going to be doing something active. But on an everyday basis, I don't wear it.
There's some other new stuff that's in the OS that it's not just for the Series 10, like the Trends, Vitals, the Vitals app, which is overnight vitals, because there's too many variables during the day when you're out in the sun or doing activities or whatever. But it looks at the trend of things like your respiration, your heart rate, stuff like that, and it can tell you when you're out of trend. And people have started to discover, as it builds, it has to build up a week or more of data or something before it even knows what your trends are. But I think it also does temperature, your temperature only overnight, and not what your body temperature is, because measuring on your wrist is a bad way to do that, but how it varies from the baseline, from your own personal baseline. And that has told people all kinds of stuff. Like, my watch knew I was sick a day before I did, right? They're like, they had told me my vitals were out of whack, and then the next day I was sick.
That was a big thing during the COVID pandemic, was your temperature spikes before you show symptoms of like a virus.
Yeah, your overnight. So things, temperature, breathing, all that other kind of stuff. If you're a woman, your temperature change, your overnight temperature change can let it know when you're ovulating, which it can use to more accurately inform your menstrual tracking if you're doing that. So like there's a lot of other extra things like that. If you
the Cycles app, that was like the main feature of that temperature sensor a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, whenever it came out. And now they're using it for other things.
It was making it more. It was making it better. They can do that even without the Apple Watch. You can do that cycle tracking. You have to put in enough data.
Right.
But for what's new in Series 10, last year, the SIP, the system in package, the CPU, GPU, the whole processor thing got faster, and we couldn't tell because everything is just smooth now. Like, ever since the Series 5 or 6, everything's just been smooth. As far as I can tell, the new S10 processor is exactly like the S9. It's exactly like last year's. If Apple hasn't said it's faster and it doesn't feel any different, it seems the same.
It might literally be the same. They've done that before where they just renamed the chip, but it's the same chip.
Yep. And given the fact that they didn't update the Ultra at all, makes me feel like it's probably just the same. Maybe it might be a packaging difference. It's thinner to fit in the new thinner design or something. The design being thinner is not something you notice dramatically. It's a little bit thinner. Like you have to look at a really big up close picture comparison to be like, oh yeah, it's thinner than the old one. But the sides are a little more rounded. The glass transitions into the curve of the sides really seamlessly and stuff. So it's just a little, it's like somebody took a Series 9 and squished it just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like it's a little bit bigger and a little bit flatter. It catches on long sleeves a little less, that kind of thing. It's not that dramatic. It does make the screen just a little bit bigger, something like 10% on the small model and 8% or something on the larger model. And that is just enough to make it a little more readable. Maybe like one extra line of text if you're ever reading text on there. The touch targets are just a little bigger. And it's one of those things where you notice it. It's nice. It's not a game changer,
Right.
But it's there. They've also updated the display to an OLED that has better viewing angles. It's brighter at a sharp viewing angle than the old one is. You notice that as well. It's another thing that's like, yeah, I notice it. It's nice. It's not going to change how I use the watch every day. Mm-hmm. It's not a dramatic improvement. The display pretty much reached where it needed to be back when they got it to be 2000 nits bright, so you could see it clearly in the sun. It was like, that was over. Long after the one you have, Roman. That's another thing. Like, probably have trouble seeing it when you're out in the bright sun. That's gone now. They're much nicer.
There were rumors, I don't know how substantial they were, mm-hmm. that there was a possible redesign because this is the 10.
People were talking about the flat edges and all this other kind of stuff. There were all these renders, and that is not what we got at all.
No.
We got the same thing they've had, just flattened out and squished out a little bit. Just like if you took a hamburger patty and you squish it with a spatula. That's what we got. Just a little bit, just a little thinner and wider.
It's a smash burger watch.
Yep, it's a smash burger watch. But it's nice. If you're thinking about giving it a go, it's a lot easier to live with an Apple Watch of today, like a Series 10, than it is a Series 4 or 5. Like, it's just, they do a lot more. They're a lot nicer to wear. They charge a lot faster. But you do have to build that habit. It's still the best smartwatch around. There's no reason you should buy a 9 instead of a 10 or something like that.
It's the same price. It's always been. They don't increase the price year over year. So like the iPhone, like if you want one, you want a new one, unless you can get the 9 for, I don't know, $150 off or something.
I would say you'd have to save a lot, because if the 9 was $50 cheaper than the 10, if you could still buy a 9 somewhere and it was $50 cheaper than a 10, I'd get the 10. Yeah,
sure.
But if I had a 9 or an 8, I would not upgrade. Like, I think about the 7 as around where the cutoff is, where I would actually notice a difference in my day-to-day. They've added enough new metrics and features and other stuff where it's going to make a difference. I should also note that if you do have an older Apple Watch, not as old as Roman's, but like a 7 or an 8, you will lose the blood oxygen sensor capability in the US. They had to remove it from newly sold Apple Watches, but if you already had bought one that had it, they could let you keep it. So the sensors in there, it works outside the US, but like inside the US, it's software disabled until they deal with this patent license battle that they're in at the moment. So,
but you do so the sensor's there on the new watch. It's just disabled because they're fighting a company named Massimo who owns a patent for the blood oxygen thing.
The particular method Yeah.
Right. So Apple could pay them a bunch of money, but they don't want to do that. It should be noted that Massimo just got a new CEO, so it's possible that the case gets resolved. And if it were to, and you do buy a Series 10, that feature will be turned on at some point.
Yeah, Apple can either win the lawsuit and
Right.
or lose it and then decide to license the thing.
Right.
From what this is all rumor, we don't know, but like apparently Massimo was asking something crazy like $20 a watch for licensing.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
Originally, and Apple was like $20 a watch. You're kidding me? Try 20 cents.
Right. Maybe not even that.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows what it is, but outside the U.S., that feature is available, and inside the U.S., it's disabled.
It's kind of funny that they just cut it from the website. Like it's just not there anymore.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, that was a feature and now it's not.
Of all the new features they've added, I found that to be kind of one of the least useful.
Yeah.
No matter how I'm feeling, anytime I tried it, it gave me a number between 96 and 100. I do know a couple people who, when they had COVID, did the test, and it said like 90%, and they're like, oh, 90% is bad. But reliably said 90%. I also know people who got like a 90% reading just because it gave a weird reading, and they did it again immediately, and it said 98. But like it was consistently 90% or less is, you have a respiratory problem. But it knows you have respiratory problems other ways. It can check your respiration rate in other ways.
Jason, does the Series 10 have a new speaker?
It does. I mean, it has to because the physical shell body is redesigned to be thinner and stuff and have a different curve and stuff around the outside. So it has a new speaker. They do allow you now to play music and podcasts and stuff through the speaker. It used to be just phone calls and FaceTime, audio conversations and stuff. And it works. You would not do that. Like it's like, oh yeah. And then at first you play some music and you go like, well, gee, that sounds pretty good considering how absolutely tiny that is. But it's not like it sounds good. you definitely, first of all, you're annoying everyone around.
Yeah, right. That's the main thing.
and second of all, like it doesn't sound as good as playing it even out of your phone speakers, much less a little portable Bluetooth speaker or something.
Yeah,
right? So
I can't even really think of what the use case would be.
Well, audiobooks and podcasts sound a lot better because you're just talking, right? So just talking because it's just like a phone call. It's just talking. That's fine. But it's pretty draining on battery to do that. So you'll go through a significant chunk of battery in like an hour, like 20% of your battery gone in an hour. So it's really not something you're going to use a lot. It's more like, well, they turned it on. Check it out. But I can't imagine you'd use it. Just stick with your AirPods. Like you can connect your AirPods directly to your Apple Watch. Yeah. And play all that you want. You can do one AirPod to listen to your podcast, whatever you want to do. Just do that.
So if you had the AirPods 4, you can just connect them to the new AirPods 4, you can just connect them to your Apple Watch Series 10.
Yeah, just to clarify, this isn't a new feature. You could connect AirPods to the Apple Watch for a long time.
He was trying to make a segue.
I'm with you. I just don't, we got to clarify here.
Once your AirPods are connected to your iPhone, if your watch that is synced to the same iPhone, it's automatic.
Yeah.
You can just tap the little 3 dots thing and choose your audio output on your watch.
Well, if you want to connect your AirPods, you can go out and get the new AirPods 4, which I reviewed a couple weeks ago. The AirPods 4 replaced the it's not confusing, but it's going to sound confusing because it replaces the 3rd gen AirPods and the 2nd gen AirPods
that they were still selling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
So they
terrible.
were selling the second gen AirPods as the cheap alternative for $129. You can get the AirPods 4 for $129. And then the AirPods 3 was replaced by the AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. That's $179.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two, just to clarify, there are two versions of the AirPods 4 with
Right.
and without active noise cancellation.
And as far as we can tell, looking at them, looking at the specs, teardowns, etc., they are identical hardware that Apple has loaded different firmware onto. Like, you get the active noise cancellation not because they have a different chip in it or anything like that. They're the exact same piece of hardware with a different piece of firmware.
Yeah. Yeah, it has the same H2 chip that the AirPods Pro 2 have. I haven't scientifically tested it, but it would seem to make sense that the sound quality would be the same, except that you have open earbuds and the ear tips on the Pro version, which influences how the sound quality comes out.
Yeah, or at least, similar. But
They're
that
similar.
difference, that's going to make a big difference if you're like an audiophile.
Right.
Having
It's
sealed
a big deal.
things does make a big deal, but it is a big difference. But it has a lot of the same features as the AirPods Pro.
Yeah. With the major difference being ear tips or not ear tips. So the AirPods 4, I'm wearing them right now, just like Jason was wearing to watch. I want to really like them, but I have this weird quirk that I wrote about in the review, is that my left ear, for some reason, it's not like it's deformed or anything. It's just, I guess, my opening of my ear canal is just a tiny bit. I don't know what it is, but it makes it difficult for the left ear to stay securely on for me when I use open earbuds. Even with the Pro versions, it's not as secure as I would like. So sometimes it'll just fall out of my left ear.
I have the same problem with both ears. The regular AirPods, I can't get them to stay in. I have heard the AirPods 4, which has a new shape, a slightly refined design, do stay in better than AirPods 3 or 2 ever did. Did you find that to be the case?
They do stay in better, especially like my right ear. My right ear never has really had a problem. But like sometimes I'll just be sitting there and then it'll just fall out of my left ear. I don't. So, and it's not like I'm shaking my head or anything like that. I guess I just have a weird shape there.
Apple used 50 million individual data points. Maybe you can provide yours for 50 million and one, and the next AirPods 5 will fit better in your ears. Right?
I saw that and I was like, well, what's a data point? Is it 50 measurements per person? Like what's I don't know what a data point is. It's not 50 million people.
3D.
It's definitely not 50 million people.
3D photogrammetry and laser topography to precisely map and analyze thousands of ear tapes and over 50 million individual data points in total. That means nothing to me either, but it sounds impressive.
That means for each ear they recorded thousands of data. Thousands of... Anyway. Yay, that's great. If it's falling out, it's falling out. I have the problem even with the Pros, where if I do anything like yard work or something like that, they will fall out all the time. No matter which ear tips.
I was going to ask, have you tried like the extra small and like they sell other ones that aren't included in the box?
Oh, no. Well, the ones included in the box.
A couple of different ones that are like extra small and maybe extra large. I don't remember, but I think there's some that aren't in the box.
Not anymore. Not from Apple.
Okay.
All the sizes that Apple have, I think, are in the box. But what has worked for me is the third party. There's a company called Comply is the most popular one that makes these memory foam tips that are like solid foam instead of just silicone flap, right? Those work a lot better. not only do they block more sound, but I use the smallest size of the Comply foam tips, and I get a much better seal. They stay in my ears an entire workout at the gym, which I never get the other things. I can do yard work. Like, I have to try. So I feel like with those, I'm like, oh, this is the experience everybody else has with their AirPods, where they stay in your ears. And they're not expensive. So if you're having that problem, try out those Comply foam tips. They sell a kit that's like 3 or 4 different sizes in one kit. And then once you find the size you like, they sell one that's like 3 or 4 pairs of the same size, because they do wear their foam tips, their memory foam things, and they wear out. So depends on how often you use them, but a few months you should change out your tips. But that's kind of one of these things with these AirPods 4s. They don't have tips. You don't have that option, right? It's like how they fit is how they fit.
Yeah. And they do feel more secure than previous versions to me overall. On my Pros, I don't use the Comply tips. I don't even remember what brand they are, but I do use foam tips, and I do get a better fit than the ones that come with the Pros. Just the silicone tips. The foam ones work better for me too. I can't even remember what size and what brand I have.
Yeah, but that's definitely worth trying out if you're frustrated by sometimes they come either fall out or they get loose and the noise canceling gets messed up in one ear. Like, even if it doesn't fall out, you lose your seal and stuff. Yeah. So it makes it a lot better.
With the AirPods 4, even without the seal, the noise cancellation is pretty good. I don't have a hard data point, but I would say, like, walking down the street, I live on a busy street, so there's a lot of street noise. And it does a really good job of blocking out that street noise. Not completely, almost as much as the Pros, not quite as much because of the open air structure, but it does a really good job. And I really enjoy the conversation awareness feature. That works really well.
Apple says the Pros provide, quote, up to 2 times the active noise cancellation of the 4. And I think that's just a function of having a seal in your ear.
Right. I agree.
Just literally blocking out outside sound.
Yeah.
But Apple's, with the AirPods that have the H2 chip, which is the 4s and the AirPod Pro 2 now, there's that conversation awareness, like you said. Once you start talking, or somebody starts talking that you're looking right at, it goes to transparency mode, and you can hear them. That's really cool, like you said. And second is, Apple's transparency mode is the best. Like, I've used a fair number of various noise canceling. They all have some sort of transparency mode. They all call it something else. I've got these Sonos earphones on now that are whole cans, and I've used Sony's and stuff, and they're all good. But Apple's is next level. It really is. Their transparency mode feels really natural. It doesn't sound like you're listening to a recording of the outside world.
Yeah. I mean, that's their stock in trade is, they make software better than everyone else and they make hardware better than everyone else. But when it comes together, it's like, wow, like, they really get it. All right. So maybe correct me if I'm wrong, someone who knows headphones better than me, but it's pretty rare to have an open design with noise cancellation.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's fairly impressive what Apple's done here. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't like that seal in your ear, because it does feel weird, it takes some time getting used to, like, everything echoes and, unless you have the noise cancellation.
Yeah, it feels like you're underwater, like your own voice is muted and stuff. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. So this is it's impressive that for this design, which 4 years ago was, not very good. They were okay.
Yeah.
Now they've really become, like, for the same price, $179, which was the price of the wireless case before. They, They did offer a one for $169 a wired case. They don't have that option anymore, so it's only $179. But for less than $200, you're getting a really good pair of open noise canceling earbuds. It's impressive what they've done for not increasing the price.
Right, and AirPods tend to be one of those things that is almost always on sale.
Right.
So these are relatively new, but so they're not always on sale as much as, say, the AirPods Pro 2. So,
right.
I would get the AirPods Pro 2 on sale over these at full price, but
sure.
But you'll see these before long for $129, $139 with the noise canceling.
Yeah, maybe even by Black Friday they might be $140, $150, and the AirPods 4, which are, as we said, are basically the same thing, just without noise cancellation for $129. That'll probably be down to $110, maybe even $100 within 6 months. So, Apple's really competing at all levels of the market here. It's no longer you can buy these and then the really expensive AirPods as well. They're kind of attacking all parts of this market.
Yeah. So what you get for the Pro over these, we should run down the features.
Sure.
Is not it's not a lot. This has most of the features of the Pro 2. What this will give you is the stuff coming in a software update soon is the clinical hearing test and hearing aid feature that will only be on the Pro 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing protection, I think, is also one that's not in 18, and it'll be in 18.1.
Yeah, the whole hearing thing, which is the test, and the hearing aid modem and the protection, that's all an AirPods Pro 2 exclusive right now. I'm sure 3 will obviously have it as well whenever they come out.
The AirPods Pro 2 have a listed slightly better battery life, up to 6 hours instead of 5. On a single charge. The STEM's touch sensor is different. The AirPods 4, it's just a squeeze. You only have the squeeze thing. The Pro 2 has a squeeze, or you can swipe to change volume or something, or change track or whatever you set it to in the settings. And the charging case, which is really small on the 4, it's kind of crazy. Once you see it, you're like, oh wow, that is really small. It has a U1 chip in the Pro 2 one case, so that you can do the precise finding thing.
Right.
They all support Find My and have a little speaker for Find My and stuff. That's about it. It's the whole what you get better,
and obviously the tighter seal with the silicone.
Yeah.
It's a different design, but
that's a different experience. That impacts music quality and everything else, but all the spatial audio with head tracking and conversational awareness and transparency mode and all that other kind of stuff, all that's in these AirPods 4. So it's a pretty good package.
Oh, the Pro 2 case has a lanyard loop.
It does. It has a little things.
For those,
and you can also use it with MagSafe. The new one, the AirPods 4 isn't certified for that.
Yeah. So if you're shopping, it's tricky right now because the AirPods Pro 2 can be found for under $200, well under $200, whereas these right now aren't really reduced,
right?
And they're $179. So you have to ask yourself, are those extra features worth it? And then you have to ask yourself, well, maybe you ask yourself first, do you want ear tips or not? Maybe that's the first question,
And the hearing stuff. I wonder, actually, if Apple going forward with the AirPods Pro really going to lean into those health features, those wellness features, because there's not a lot. I mean, these are earbuds. There's not a lot Apple can do with the AirPods 3, Pro 3, to separate it from the 4. I mean, noise cancellation is the thing. That was the differentiator. That's gone now.
Yeah.
So, to differentiate for a $250 pair of headphones or earbuds, what are you going to do here? So I think that stuff, the hearing aid stuff and whatever's coming down the road, is really how Apple's going to differentiate the higher end model.
Yeah, I mean, the having a seal makes them sound better for music and everything.
For sure.
Noise canceling is like better quality noise canceling. But just in terms of the feature thing, yeah, it's not a lot. Right now, like today on there, it's Prime Day, so there's sales and stuff, but it's $169 for AirPods Pro 2. Like I would not get the AirPods 4 instead of that.
Right.
Not even the ones without noise canceling. Yeah. That's just
for $169. Go get it. That's a
get that.
Actually, as you're listening to this, that price has probably changed, but it will go there again because Apple's not planning to update.
I just looked to see, but as you're listening to this, it changed. But it's always on sale for under $200 somewhere, right? Yeah. So they're never $250, unless you just are really like, I hate ones with ear tips and a seal. I think the AirPods Pro 2 is the better deal, even if it's $20 or $30 more right now, because it's never $80 more, like the price is. And then once these go on sale reliably, like all the other AirPods do eventually, these will be a really good deal. These will be, maybe by Christmas, the AirPods 4 with noise canceling will be reliably $129, $139. It's probably, and that's probably a great deal.
Yeah.
Are you using them every day, Roman?
I go back and forth. Between the pros and it's not for any particular reason. It's just sometimes I feel like wanting the complete seal. Sometimes I don't. I understand that's a luxury.
I know.
Not everybody can pick and choose. But I go back and forth, and not for any particular reason. It's just it's more of a mood thing. I don't feel like putting the ear tips on today, kind of thing. So, yeah. So we have full in-depth reviews of the Apple Watch Series 10 and the AirPods 4 on Macworld.com. Check those out. We also try and keep an eye on deals for these devices. So check out our deals section on Macworld.com. If we see something that seems like a particularly good deal that could save you a little bit of money, we'll try and post it on that section of the website so you can save some money. That does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode 904. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Michael Simon.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, the audience. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app, on Spotify, through any other podcast app, or on the new Macworld Podcast channel on YouTube, where you can see a video version of the podcast. Just search for Macworld Podcast on YouTube. Send us an email at podcast@macworld.com, or contact us through X, that's @Macworld, or on Threads, that's @Macworld_HQ, or on the Macworld Facebook page. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.